Your boss asks you a yes or no question. And before you answer, you explain yourself. You give the context, the background, all the reasons why. And then finally, the answer. But your boss has already moved on to the next thing. Here's what I want you to notice. That wasn't a communication style. That was a response to a question that your boss never asked. A question running underneath, quietly, automatically, before you opened your mouth. And that question, that hidden question, is running more than your meetings. It's running your life. Once you can hear that question, really hear it, something shifts. Decisions that used to take forever become clear. Patterns that have repeated for years disappear. Not because you worked harder, not because you finally got disciplined enough, but because the question got answered, the right question. And that's what this video is all about. Not a framework, not 5 steps, one thing. The hidden question your nervous system is answering right now, before you make any decision, take any action, or say anything out loud. Let me describe something. You're in a conversation. Someone says something. Maybe your boss, maybe your partner, maybe a friend. And before you've thought about it, your body responds. A tightening, your throat closes, a flash of heat. And you say something, or maybe you say nothing. And later, maybe an hour or two, you think of exactly what you wish you had said. Or this, you're about to do the thing, the thing that really matters, and you don't do it. You can't fully explain why. There was no decision, no choice, just not doing it. Or maybe this one. Someone asks you a direct question. The answer is simple, but you can't answer it simply. Something in you needs them to understand first, to know the context, to see your reasoning before they hear your answer. Now, if any of that landed, you're not watching the wrong video. That's not a personality flaw. That's not a communication problem. That's a question running underneath, answering itself before you even get a vote. Here's what I know about the person who explains before they answer. They're not being long-winded. They're not being difficult. They're being run. Run by a question they've never heard out loud. And a question that sounds something like this. Am I enough right now, exactly as I am? That question was formed a long time ago, before you even had words for it, before you even knew it was a question. Something happened. Something was said or not said. Something was felt. And a part of you made a decision. A decision that felt like a fact. If I don't show them I understand, they won't trust my answer. If I don't prove I was paying attention, they'll think I'm not capable. If I just say yes or no, something important about me gets lost. That decision became a question, and that question became a driver. And that driver has been answering for you every time, ever since. Now, here's the thing about a hidden question. It doesn't give you options. It gives you one move. And you make that move every time, before you even know choice was available. The person who explains first doesn't think, should I explain or should I answer? They explain. It's already done. The person who freezes doesn't think, should I freeze or should I answer? They stay quiet. It's already done. That's not a habit. A habit can be interrupted. This is running below the level where interruption is even possible until you can hear the question. The driver isn't the explanation. The driver isn't even the freeze. The driver is the question underneath. Am I enough? And until that question gets a real answer, a true answer, the driver keeps doing its job, protecting you from the moment that it decided that it was dangerous. Even if that moment was 30 years ago, even when you're completely safe right now. That's why nothing on the surface has changed it. Not more confidence, not more preparation, not more discipline. You can build all of that, and the driver still fires. Because you were never working on the question. You were working on the move. I want to tell you something that happened to me. Not a dramatic story, not a turning point, a Tuesday. I was on 3 Zoom calls at once. We've all done that. I had 3 open on my screen, bouncing between them. I looked up in one of the meetings, saw a message, and it said, "The host is trying to unmute you." So I unmuted myself, and the host said, "Michael, we haven't heard from you today. Let's hear from you." I hadn't been watching the call. I had no idea what the question was, but I looked in the chat and I read what was there, and I started talking about that. And then the host said, "But Michael, let's focus on this for this now." And I 100% pivoted and started talking exactly about the topic. Finally, it was over and I felt relieved. She said, "Thank you, Michael." And later that day, I was telling a friend about my stressful situation. And she looked at me and said, "Why didn't you just ask her to repeat the question?" And I didn't have an answer. Because that option had never existed for me. I hadn't even considered it. Not for a single second. And then I told the story to another friend. And she said, "Why didn't you just say, 'I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention just now'?" And again, I had nothing. Because that option hadn't existed for me either. 2 completely reasonable choices. 2 things any person could have said, and neither one had been available to me. Not because I couldn't think of them, because something had already decided for me before my brain got involved. And what it decided was that you have to be perfect. You have to appear like you were paying attention. You cannot let them see that you weren't. That was the only move I had. And I made it automatically. When I saw that, when I really saw that, I didn't feel ashamed. I felt something shift. Because for the first time, I understood that wasn't me being imperfect. That was a question answering itself. Am I enough right now, exactly as I am? And the driver's answer had always been, not yet. Prove it first. Now I have options. Not because I became a different person, because now I can hear the question. And when I hear the question, I can answer it differently. I can say, "I wasn't paying full attention. Can you repeat that?" And feel good about it. That is not a small thing. That's what changes when the question gets seen. There's a question running your life right now. You didn't choose it. It was performed before you had the capacity to choose anything. And it has been answering for you in meetings, in relationships, in the moments you couldn't move forward and couldn't explain why. Most people spend their lives trying to get better at the move, better explanations, better preparation, better performance. And the question keeps driving. What changes everything is hearing the question, not analyzing it, not solving it, just hearing it for the first time. Because the moment that you can hear it, you have options, real ones. And for the first time, You're the one choosing. So here's what I want to leave you with. Not a checklist, not a plan, one question to sit with. What move do you keep making automatically before you even know that you're making it? And what question underneath might be driving it? That's where the work begins. Not in getting better at the move, in hearing the question for the first time.